Tuesday, October 28, 1975, and now Lowell Thomas.
I'm Harvey Hoffman. Now stay tuned as CBS covers the world at 7 o'clock. From Washington, from Madrid, and from Paiute Mesa, Nevada, comes today's news. Good evening, everybody. This is Lowell Thomas for CBS News. From Egypt, Anwar Sadat. He made a plea today for a dialogue between the United States and the Palestinians. This in a meeting with President Ford. And in a later news conference, Sadat said that the U.S. should take the lead in such a dialogue because this country, America, is the main party in the game in the Middle East. He added, if we're going to achieve any global solution to the problem, it should include the Palestinians. When asked the president's reaction, Sadat conferred briefly with his foreign minister and then replied, no comment. Meanwhile, an attempt to ease the impact of Mayor Beam's refusal to greet Sadat when he visits New York City. White House spokesman Ron Nessen saying, President and Mrs. Sadat are guests of the President of the United States, and the President deeply regrets Mayor Beam's decision. The White House also announcing the President will make an important speech tomorrow concerning the financial plight of New York City. This leads to speculation that he may have changed his mind about federal help. And so, today came a surge on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrials jumping nearly 13 points. And now this message. Some later word regarding New York City. Senator Buckley saying the President in his speech tomorrow will propose legislation to ensure the maintenance of essential services should Fun City default. Franco of Spain still clinging to life, but just barely. After showing definite improvement earlier today, then came another relapse, and his doctors say his condition is extraordinarily grave. More fierce street fighting in Beirut that all but enveloped the city's great hotels, hundreds of guests huddling in basements while the warring Muslims and Christians were battling each other outside. The death toll in more than 9 weeks of fighting is now set at nearly 1,000 with no end in sight. Sarah Jane Moore, who apparently tried to kill President Ford last month in San Francisco, was arraigned today on a charge of attempted assassination. The judge, when she entered a plea of not guilty, ordered a competency hearing for November 17 to be followed by trial, if necessary, on December 15. Meanwhile, Miss Moore is to be returned to the medical center at San Diego, where she has been undergoing psychiatric tests. Moscow, a bitter attack on dissident Soviet physicist Andrei Sakharov in the Soviet paper Trud. Said Trud, the cash award that Sakharov will get, along with his Nobel Peace Prize, is the equivalent to the 30 silver coins of the ancient Judas. An underground nuclear blast, apparently the strongest in years, set off beneath the desert at Paiute Mesa, Nevada. The shockwave, swaying tall buildings in Las Vegas 100 miles away, rattling windows in Los Angeles and Sacramento 300 miles distant. East Windsor, Connecticut, an address by Connecticut Congressman Anthony Moffat. It included a charge that a disturbing handful of his colleagues spend most of their time watching soap operas on the cloakroom TV instead of tending to business. Congressman Moffat adding, there's no way an industry could survive if it worked like the U.S. Congress. And now this message. The National Girl Scouts Convention in Washington voted overwhelmingly against admitting boys to membership. The vote followed heated debate. Girl Scout Karen Bishop, for one, saying, why, you couldn't run around in your underwear on camping trips if you had to worry because there were boys there. And now for CBS News, this is Lowell Thomas saying, so long until tomorrow.
WCBS News Time, 7:06. Good evening, I'm Harvey Hoffman.
Friday, November 14, 1975, and now Lowell Thomas.
From Luanda, Angola, from Melbourne, Australia, and from the Caucasus comes today's news. Good evening, everybody. This is Lowell Thomas for CBS News. For President Ford, on the eve of his departure for Europe, a swing through the South, a stop at Durham, North Carolina, where he said he would consider a black as a possible running mate in '76, noting that Senator Brooke of Massachusetts is one person to be considered. Across the country in Sacramento, the government rested its case today in that trial of Lynette Traum, accused of attempted assassination. TV screens were set up in the courtroom to carry the defense's presentation of a 20-minute videotape deposition from the President of the United States. The first such testimony ever by an incumbent president in any courtroom. The President saying he had no recollection of hearing Ms. Traum say anything, nor did he hear a gun click. And now this message. More Russian and Cuban troops are pouring into Luanda, formerly the capital of Portuguese Angola, helping Angola's Russian-backed popular movement, which is locked in a life-and-death struggle with rival nationalists. The Russians bringing with them tanks and MiG-21 jets. Also acting as advisor to hard-pressed popular movement troops. The Middle East, Israel today withdrew the last of its troops from Ras Sudar in the Sinai, the dusty town and its adjacent oil field now passing into the hands of the UN forces, who will turn it over to Egypt, the first piece of occupied territory to be returned by Israel under the terms of the new Mideast Interim Peace Agreement. From the Caucasus, we hear of the death of 28 Russian hikers caught in a sudden wild blizzard. The hikers were abandoned by their guides, who were concerned only with saving their own lives, and we hear the disaster could have been far worse had it not been that some of the party were rescued by passing shepherds. Moscow saying those responsible will be punished. And now for CBS News, this is Lowell Thomas saying, so long until Monday.
At 6 minutes past 7, good evening. I'm Bill Smith, WCA.